So today is a new day. I still have my cards on the floor. I did pick them up for a little bit because I needed them, but I put them back, before I went to sleep. And it still has like the same effect. So if you're watching this video, just the other video before this, or videos before this, they're giving more information about this whole situation with this, spirits or attachments sent to me. But every day is it was a fight. It really is, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I know that it's, only because of God that, I'm still here and still breathing and everything. But yeah, it seems like the cards still have an effect. I don't know what it is about the cards, but they have some sort of effect. I have like 2 areas that I have them like surrounded. And I'll go and sit in one area, and then I'll go and sit in another area. One is stronger than the other. And it's because I wish I knew like the difference between the major arcanas and the minor arcanas, but I don't. But in one of them, I try to make sure it's the same type of cards, and it's probably because it's like the biggest, the major cards. Anyways, it seems to be the strongest area. I'm sorry, and the other one is pretty strong at times. But anyways, this is something that is working for me today. I don't know, just say keep fighting. If you're going through this is something that you're going through, or you know someone that's going through this, just tell them to keep fighting in the way that they can. This morning I woke up with not even going to bed with the intentions of, I need to, work on my, diet and routine, and work on, trying to, keep that and manage that and stick to that, but just really just eating more healthy. And I'm just, went in my kitchen and just started making the stuff that was already there. I have this saying where it's like, if you don't buy it, you don't eat it. It's because it's true. If it's not there, you won't eat it. I'm serious. And then the idea of substitution. Subbing certain things for something else, swapping it out. So if you, like, I'm a chip person, I love chips. Okay. But if I swap that out, I hate to say, for like apples, fruit, bananas, you will eat that. Because you're hungry, and or you want to munch on something. You will eat those things. They have, all kinds of, different type of substitutes other than that, and if you have it in, in your house or wherever, you store your food and stuff, then you're going to eat that. Because it's there. You're not going to go to the store. You're less likely to do something like that. If it's here, if it's near you, around you, or in a place where you go and, make your food and prepare your food, the chances of you, consuming it or eating it is likely 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10. That's half. 4 out of 10. It's a chance. If you don't have it in your house, or in a place where you store and prepare your food, and if it's not there, it can't be eaten. Not rocket science. I'm talking to myself too. So, just trying to remember that and implement it. Slowly but surely, I've been not buying the things that I just need to leave alone. I just need to leave it alone. Period. Like it shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be in the place where I, store and or prepare my foods or what I'm gonna eat. There are so many alternatives. It's not even funny. Especially when it comes to eating unhealthy. Every once in a while, it's fine or it's okay, I guess. But all the time and several times throughout the week, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, it's just not good. Gotta have some sort of balance. But so I'm just talking about, the power of small steps. That was like several days ago. Then I have this little routine schedule where I'm up high. I eat it as much as I, can do. And then I come back down. And some days coming back down. These are small ways of just me trying to deal with my own issues. Of coming out of the routine and a way of dieting and eating that I know I should be doing for my own health. Because under this spell work, and because of this attachment that's been sent to me, they can use the weaknesses, like the sugar, like I like to eat a lot of certain things that have a lot of sugar, or somehow, if I consume too much of it, they can, it impacts my body in a negative way. So, but basically, the more I stay on the eating healthy side of it, the less problems I encounter physically being impacted, by this spell work that's being done by these people who are doing it to me, and with this attachment sent to me, these spirits, deities or whatever that are around me, because I can hear them, the less impact they have. And I've witnessed this. Like this whole time, I guess I can say in November, because they said that you were strong, you were too strong when you first came. You couldn't do anything to you. Like you were strong, your heart was strong. You're strong as an ox. I remember, I don't know if it was last year, probably was last year, earlier last year, coming out of 2021 as well, something like that, but definitely earlier last year. I could drink tea straight, no sugar. Only drinking waters. If I had any type of apple juice or anything, I would dilute it. So the sugar intake was very low. But yeah, these deities, spirits, demonic forces, what have you, that were sent to me by someone else. Some people I know are familiar with, what have you. They told me that, because I can hear them, audio, I can hear these spirits talking. They said that you were too strong and we couldn't do the spell work on your body because you're too strong. Also, stayed away from almost like a vegan diet. I would just kind of go back and forth, being regular and then like vegan, regular and vegan. And then certain things I just don't eat, like certain beefs. Although, this year is the year of the rabbit. So if you're not familiar with the Chinese zodiac, this is the year of the rabbit. And according to that, it's saying that, and you can read it or take it for yourself. I took it for myself. Whatever it's saying about these people that are born in that in certain particular years that are under the year of the rabbit, it's saying that something like you're gonna have a big appetite. You're gonna be, eating a lot and all this type of stuff. So in January, I kicked it off with like eating beef, but that's not typically a food that I eat, you know, eating at certain restaurants and places that I don't even eat at, okay? So in January, kicked it off, and then February it continued. I'm eating at burger stands, you know, and still this is March, I'm still here, but keeping in mind that, you know, those things need to change and that they don't need to be. But prior to that, there's like no beef. Yeah, like I said, almost like a vegan diet, no chicken. I would eat turkey from time to time. If there were any type of meats, it would be turkey. Not even chicken. I really cut off chicken. So, but for some reason, it seemed like the stress of it, and I'm not the type of person that does that. Like, oh, I'm so stressed out. So, but I do that. I will eat under stress. If I'm under stress, I will eat. Because I'm stressed out and I don't know what the hell to do. But I do have this side where if I'm under certain particular stresses, that's not the way I'm gonna go. That's not the route I'm taking at all. Because something's the matter, something's wrong, something's not right. And until it's done, you know, I could care less about eating, drinking, anything. You know, so yeah, but I this whole, when the more is happening, I started changing from November through December, especially when I left, because I wasn't here in my home, so wasn't preparing my own foods. But I still tried to be like, you know, back and forth, not too much, you know, out off the where I'm supposed to be, you know. I was gone for about 3 weeks. So it would be back and forth. Honestly, it was, you know, no, eating healthy and then eating not healthy because I was out, you know. But even before I left, I had started changing my diet, changing what I was eating, and that left me susceptible to the impact of what these deities were able to do under the spell work that these people were doing, causing these deities to do this. So I don't really know how that goes, but this is what I've been told by this main tarot reader, that I found out all this stuff, you know, that certain persons and our people that I know are familiar with have been doing spell work on me. And so the weaker you are, whatever they can use, and finding out that they can even like go through your body and be in your body or something like that, or at least that's what they say. Well, I don't know, but I do believe that it's possibly true. Oh, I ran across a tarot reader that was saying something really far out that I haven't heard in a long time. But like I said, you know, my background is Christianity. She said something really that I haven't heard in a long time. Said something like a week, 2 weeks ago or something like this. She said that there's a scripture where it talks about something about a spirit, an unclean spirit being in a person. It might have been Jesus that said this, I'm not sure. But when an unclean spirit is cast out, when it leaves like a body, you know, or somebody, then it goes and tries to find out where it can go. And if it can't find anything, can't find another body to go into, then it goes back to where it was, to say, well, let me return back to my home. And it goes there to see if it can go back, you know. And that's because they've been cleaned out by some way of, you know, either being casted out by someone who has a higher ranking of authority and of power, you know, in the spirit, with God, or they, you know, chose to do a personal cleansing through consecration or some type of fasting that will do it, and or something like that, some way that they got casted out, one of those ways or something, some miraculous way of, you know, those unclean spirits leaving a person, okay? And then those spirits go and they look for other bodies, other humans that they can use, or be in or live in, that are on that level of, where they can actually stay and not be casted out. So if they don't find it, then they go back after the time to see if the old house is, available. And when they go back and see that it's not occupied, basically, meaning that it's not, I would have to say this, meaning that it's not being used by God, meaning that it wasn't the same way that it was, that I don't know, it says the scripture says that if it's clean, then it goes and, hey, let's start a party. I'm going to go and get some friends and go get some people. But what happens is some of their same spirits, they go and go bring more spirits more worse than themselves. Because it's all clean. It's a clean party, I mean, it's a party because it's all clean. It's more room and stuff like that. So I guess it means if that person has changed or something, or if it's clean from, I have no idea because I'm gonna mix everything up. I don't know what it means by that, but if it comes back and somehow is able to come back, then it goes back and gives, it seems like it would be the opposite of that, right? But comes back and goes and gets friends and stuff that are worse than themselves, and brings it to them, and brings it back to that old place, that old person that they were in. And that's terrible, because if it's worse than the last time, that's not good at all. Like, that's bad news all the way right there. And then she said, because that was the scripture she read, but what she said was, there are so many spirits, within this person, within a person, and they have no idea that their body is being used, by demonic forces, blah, 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 XYZ, XYZ. And I listened to it, and at first I didn't, regard it as myself, but I had to think about it and consider it. It probably would have scared the living crap out of me if I had realized it at that moment. Because the thing is, this is a real thing that's happening. It's very serious. It's very real. These attachments being sent to you, or even just the fact that, okay, so here's the thing. Before the attachment was sent to me, there had to be other things that were going on, that were happening, other demonic forces or spirits, unclean spirits, I would say, that were, living within myself, or that was with me. Because like I said, I was in a place and position that wasn't really good, talking, running my mouth, the way that I do things, the way that I say things, being overly aggressive, not being able to control my temper, about certain things, especially about the situation that I'm going through, that I was going through and still am. It's like not knowing when to shut up, not knowing when to hold my tongue, not knowing when to stop talking about certain things, not knowing when to, have a limit. You know what I mean? Do you have a limit? Will you ever shut up? Because this right here will get you in trouble. The Bible speaks about it in James. The tongue, the mouth, it will get you in trouble. And, you need to be careful about that. So even though I'm in a situation where, there's heavy monitoring and there's nothing I can do about it because of an investigation that was started, unless I leave this place. If you're going to decide to stay, and you understand that all these things, these people who are doing this to you are very highly irritated with you for whatever reasons that they don't like, and you decide to stay because you have the option to leave, which means you won't be so heavily monitored and surveillance with the cameras and everything. And if you get rid of your phones and try to fix the situation with your phone, or even if you have just one phone and still being monitored because of that investigation, if you're not, okay, if you're whatever situation you are in, say you were in jail or something, or you were kidnapped or something, I'm just saying, God forbid, But in any of these situations, or cornered or something, and somebody has a gun or somebody has something, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? I'm not talking about times that you need to be courageous, or you need to be bold. I'm not talking about times like that. I'm talking about times when you absolutely need to listen and you need to cooperate. So sometimes it's really crazy, because sometimes you need to, situations get to that point for people who need to have it happen to them because they won't listen. And something like that will catch their attention. You know what I mean? So that's more so what I'm talking about. If you're in a situation where you need to be quiet and you need to shut up, and you know how to do that, like, you're not the type that, you're always needing to talk and you're always needing to say something. That's not your personality. But you're the exact opposite, and you refuse to do that, or you don't want to do that because over time you've learned ways that's just not good for you, behaviors that's not good, and being stubborn, it's just not good. I think that in any situation that you're in, and whatever you need to do, that you have to do because you're placed in a position and that's what you need to do at that time, then you need to do that, even to save your life. So when I say that, I'm being overly aggressive, I'm in my own home, and I should be able to, talk, or I should be able to watch whatever I want to watch. I should be able to, these people can't tell me nothing. I should be able to do it. This is my stuff, and they've entered into my life, and I mean, I could say that all day, right? But the thing about it is that there's a time for everything. That's the problem. There's a time to shut up. And there's a time to be quiet. There's a time to quiet your spirit. These are things that I just did not take the time to do, so that I can hear the guidance on what to do, the right guidance on what to do. Nobody's perfect, but I definitely didn't do that. I definitely didn't take time out to do that more. And so again, I do believe that that's a reason that contributed to the fact of this attachment, these spirits, me being able to hear them audio, these deities, and this attachment that was sent to me. That's why it was allowed to, because I wasn't quieting my spirit. I wasn't walking away. I wasn't falling back on the situation. But no, I had something to say almost every day. There were rare days where I wouldn't say anything. I had to practice great discipline with that. But I always had to say something. And I always had to, I guess, cuss somebody out or get in somebody's tail about something, before this whole thing started with the attachment, and me hearing them and them being sent to me in November of last year. So, yeah, I always had to say something. I always had to let somebody know something. Still have this issue, this problem, something going on where it's just doing too much, going over the top. That all has a lot to do with me walking away from my calling with God, and just all the mistakes and everything that happened since then. You're talking about somebody that's known what to do since they were 14 years old, and now they're 40. So that's a long time to be having stayed away from what you're supposed to do, from your purpose, and walking away from God. I love this saying that I say, who walks away from God? Who is that dumb and stupid to do something like that? And this is why all these people who have an issue and problem with me have an issue and problem with me, because the reality is, if a person cannot and will not listen to God, whoever else after that don't stand a chance, So if that person is not willing, if that person doesn't change, they just don't, and then of course they're gonna have problems and issues, and just being in stubbornness and all this stuff. And this is the reason why I believed these deities, or these, I thought they were angelic beings that were talking to me, when they first came in November. Why I believed them when they told me that they were the Reapers, after a week or two or something like that, they told me they were the Reapers and that God had basically turned me over to them, basically had let me go to them, and that they came to get my soul, to take my soul to hell, that I was not going to heaven. Which I know that. I said to myself always before this happened, before this attachment got sent to me, I said, well, if I never make it to heaven, I thought to myself, then I would understand why. I mean, just that whole thing, I would understand why. I couldn't say that I didn't understand. I think that's what it was. I couldn't say I don't know why, because I do know why. And I've just been in this place for a very long time, and God's just really been trying to help me. This place of stubbornness, and this place of being arrogant and not being humble and all this stuff. In all honesty, I've been in this place a very long time prior to the situation I'm going through with these people doing this spell work on me and other things that's going on, me being stalked and followed around for years, for like 8 years, by someone that, people that I'm familiar with or know. It happened because of, all of this is stubbornness and not being willing to go back and turn back and to God or to the right ways, and not submitting myself, to the divine or things of the divine, to God, so it's just like, it all makes sense, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be like non-understanding of that. And look how long that went on. And I tell you that 14 is a pretty good age. Yeah, a lot of smart, intelligent, especially these days in this generation. But I would say 14 is a pretty good age, because you're almost 15, so in 2 years from being 16 years old. So there's a lot of things that you understand. I would say more so than 12, right? 2 more years, than being 12. And 12 is the age, where you're considered biblically to, take on certain type of responsibility of being held accountable and all this stuff. But at 14, you're even more so. You have 2 more years of understanding certain things. God doesn't hold anything that you don't know and you don't understand against you. Okay, and like I said, this was a choice that I made on my own to come to God. Like, my mom didn't make me come to the Lord. Well, she did. From time to time when we grew up, you just had to go up and say prayers or what have you, and different things. But this was actually a choice of my own. And it was a place that we visited. This wasn't like a church home or something. And sometimes it happens then, like you've been in there for so many years, or you've been, listening, and then finally for yourself, you say, yeah, this message is for me. I get it, but this wasn't even a familiarity, nothing like that. This was it wasn't strange. It was familiar in a lot of ways, the music and the way that they did the service. But it was something very different about, it was destiny. It was designed for that. It was meant for that, for myself. I just turned 14 that year. This was, the latter part of the fall of that year. Until in the summer, I had just turned 14, and we were going through some things. We had lost, but we were moving around a lot. And this particular loss of a place, it was a beautiful place, and we had kind of reached the height of whatever. But I'm very familiar with moving around and things like that. So I think maybe God, this too, he didn't want me. This is the major part of it, but a small piece. He didn't want me to give up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe 14 is just the age that God was just like, I'm going to do this. Because I grew up in church, you know, and my mom, you know, taking us to church and things like that. And I thought to myself, yeah, you know, I'm going to come to God when I am like in my 50s or 60s. You know, like with the hats and everything like that. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. You know, I'm gonna really, you know, do right and go to church all the time and be a good person. You know, when I'm about 50 or 60. You know, I can see myself really dedicating my whole life to that. You know, I can see that. But you know, God had other plans, because I really, really, really made a decision on my own at this church that was visited, um, to give my life to God, to give my heart and, you know, make the commitment to Him. And to further that, we were separated. You know, I was separated from my family when we visited. We were, I guess, late, and I was sitting by myself. So I listened to the whole entire message, you know, by myself. And the family was somewhere else because, you know, you're late, so they put you over, you know, wherever seats are available. And on top of that, we were in the balcony. So I made my way down from the balcony. Then growing up, I was very quiet, a very quiet person. And I made my way down. So for me to make that move, and I'm a very quiet person, I don't even like too much attention. But it was destiny. Because shortly after that, when we kept going to services, a lady spoke to myself and my family about some things, futurely, or about my life, that I'm starting to see. I've started to see. I think some of it I haven't seen yet, and maybe it's because it will be bypassed. I will be bypassed, or I've always felt like, you know, God has to replace me or something like that, and things like that. I'm gonna cut this because I don't want the video to be too long.